Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we have a somewhat of a special review. This beer was sent to me by two of my most dedicated viewers, Fabrizio and Tatiana Rossi, who are from Rio in Brazil, so a big thank you to them for sending me this beer. And for this one we're actually going to visit Brazil again, and I've only ever done one Brazilian craft beer review for you before. So for this one we are going to go to the city of Curitiba in Paraná in southeastern Brazil, and we're going to visit Cervejaria Bodebrown. And this one is their Wee Heavy, which is a Scotch ale, as you might imagine by the name, and it comes in at 8%. I think this was actually the first beer that they produced as well, so this one should be pretty awesome, and it's rated at 92 on Rate Beer, so this one will be a pretty damn awesome beer. You don't get a rating like that on Rate Beer for nothing, so very much looking forward to trying this one. It is a bit of a cliche enjoying Scotch ale so much when I am Scottish, but I never thought I would review one from Brazil, so I'm very interested to see their take on the style. You get a lot of them in America, and of course that beer culture is starting to spread down to South America these days, so this one should be a pretty awesome review. Thank you once again to Fabrizio and Tatiana. So as is usual with my beer reviews, then I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual websites are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other Cervejaria Bodebrown reviews. Hopefully I can add those in the fairly near future, but the very first time I'm trying one of their beers, and there's all the usual social media things down there, Facebook, Twitter and Untappd. Please follow me on there, your support would be much appreciated. And to those of you watching in Brazil, go and check out Fabrizio and Tatiana's website. That's in the description below. They produce some really awesome recipes, and I'm sure when I finally go to visit Brazil in a couple of years I'll get to try some of them. But go and check it out. I believe it's all in Portuguese, but they do some things in English too, so go and check it out. And to those of you watching in Brazil, please do suggest some other beers and breweries that you guys would like me to have a look at. I love trying beer from new countries, especially when it's styles that I really enjoy, so don't hesitate to get in touch. But anyway, to tell you about Cervejaria Bodebrown. So these guys, like I mentioned, are based in Curitiba in Paraná in southeastern Brazil, and they were actually the first brewing school that was founded in the country. And the company was founded back in 2009 by Samuel Pernambuco Cavalcanti and Andrea Lam Pinto. Apologies if any of the Portuguese pronunciations aren't quite right there, but Samuel arrived in Curitiba with his family after they moved there for his father's job. His father was quite high up in the pharmaceutical industry, in fact, but he went on to study chemistry, and in his third year he fell in love with the microbiology of fermented beverages, particularly beer, and of course he went on to study beer brewing in Berlin and Chicago before he finally settled on the idea of founding his own brewery. Now, Andrea, in fact, was born and bred in Curitiba, and he studied business, graduating back in 2004, and he actually wrote his thesis about the business model used by microbreweries. So as you can tell, you've got two guys in charge of this company that are very passionate and very dedicated and very knowledgeable about their craft, in fact. So this is a very good beer and very good brewery to return to Brazil with. But the brewery started its production in 2009, and their first beer was actually this one here, the Wee Heavy Scotch Ale, and these guys are now quite well known as being a big influence on the spread of craft beer culture throughout Brazil. A lot of craft brewers in Brazil have actually been trained by these guys, so there's a huge big scene kind of starting to gather pace down there in Brazil. And Brewdog, in fact, one of the biggest Scottish breweries, they have a bar down in Sao Paulo in Brazil, so it's somewhere that you can really go, and they like to show you a lot of the local Brazilian beers too. So very, very cool, and hopefully we see even more things coming out of Brazil these days. There's some really, really good beer from what I hear, so hopefully I can review some more of them for you here on the channel. But these guys have a fairly extensive range of beers. In their core range, or their year-round range as they call it, there's the Cacao IPA, Triple Montfort, the Wee Heavy, this guy here, Perigosa Double IPA, and the Bodebrown Hop Vice. They also have their seasonal beers, so this is the Blanche de Curitiba, the Montfort Rye IPA, Black Rye IPA, Cerveja de Amor, and Cacao Wee. And they've also got a range of special and wood-aged beers as well. So as I say, go and check out the brewery website in the description below. It is in Portuguese, but if you use the translate feature on Google Chrome, the translation is actually pretty good, so do go and check out the brewery website and read a little bit more about the brewery if you do want to know about that. But let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer now. So this one is an 8% Scotch ale. It tells you a little bit on the side about it, but it's all in Portuguese, so I can't really read it, but it just tells you about a little bit about the brewery and a little bit about the beer style as well, so it's just telling you a little bit about that. But I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. So there you can see all the nice medals that this one has. Actually, it's got medals from the Australian International Beer Awards. It won in it won actually a trophy, and it's got the silver and the bronze from 2012 and 2013. I'm guessing this bottle is from 2014 because it doesn't actually have the year listed, and it's got a beer award from Brazil too actually here. But yeah, it looks very nice. You can check out Bodebrown on Facebook. I'll put the link in the description below too. And you can see that their symbol is this kind of goat's head there. It actually looks really cool. I really wonder if these guys are metalheads actually going by that symbol. But very nicely presented there. And it says a Tipo Strong Scotch Ale. So it should be really interesting. And I hope the guys at the brewery enjoy a Scotsman reviewing their Scotch Ale. So this one, it should be really interesting. Let's get this guy out and get on with the tasting here. Very much looking forward to trying this beer. So yeah, as you can see, a nice smoky opening on this one. So we'll get it out and into the glass. But once again, a huge thank you to Fabrizio and Tatiana for sending me this beer. Fabrizio's actually become quite a really nice friend over the last wee while since he first got in touch with me over the channel. He's a very, very nice guy. And me, Chico and I, my missus of course, we'll be heading down to Brazil to visit him and Tatiana at some point. And hopefully they can come up to Sweden or Japan in fact and visit us. Wherever we decide to live, well, I'm sure we'll see them at some point. But very nice people, so a big thank you to them for supporting the channel. But as you can see, this beer has poured a really nice kind of reddish copper colour. I'll just turn this light on here and let you see the exact colour of this one. You can see, I'll just turn this round so you can see it. It's a nice kind of red mahogany, almost chestnut colour actually. It's got the typical Scotch ale colour. For me actually, when I look at it, it comes across as being a bit more red, and there's a solid finger and a half actually of a nice beigey tan frothy head on this one. It looks really nice. There's quite a few big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass there, but a lot of little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head. The head is very frothy and looks very solid in fact. Very attractive looking beer, and if I put my fingers behind it, I think you can see there is a degree of transparency, but you're not seeing the kind of nice coppery red chestnut colour as well on the camera there. But a very attractive looking beer. So let's give it a smell and see how we get on with this. Oh, now that smells really nice actually. You can really smell the kind of the toasted malts coming out of this. There's a really nice roasted caramel coming out of this beer, but at the same time it's quite sweet. You also get some of these darker treacle notes, or molasses of course as they call it in America. I don't know what Brazilians would call it with their English. I think Brazilians learn more of an American English than they do a European English. So maybe they'll recognise, maybe you guys will recognise molasses more than treacle, but a very nice dark brown roasted sugar coming out of this one. It smells really quite nice actually. You can detect a little bit of the, how do you say, a little bit of the nice woody aromas coming out of this. There's a nice woody character coming out of this one, a bit of nutty element as well. But it's nice and toasted. The real prominent thing in this beer is the sort of toasted treacle and molasses aromas. There's some bread in there as well, and the candied fruits are also quite prominent in this. Yeah, it's a big caramel aroma, this one, a bit of bread just kind of underpinning it, but really the aroma here is all about those roasted caramels. There's some really quite sharp red fruity esters coming out of this, you know, some plums, maybe some raisins in there too, but you can detect the kind of lighter candied red fruit elements coming off this one too, and some figgy flavours as well. Very, very nice smelling beer. But I have to admit, I really like how they've gone for the caramel on this one. It smells like a typical Scottish Scotch ale, which is always good. I like the caramel just to be that little bit darker, because that's how they do them here in Scotland. A lot of the American ones come across as really quite sugary, and the beer was supposed to be a bit more dark and more cereally. That's one of the things that you always get in American Scotch ales. So this one should be really interesting. So let's give this beer a try then. So this one is the Wee Heavy Scotch Ale from Cervejaria Bodebrown in Curitiba, Paraná, Brazil. Once again, thank you to Fabrizio and Tatiana for sending me this beer. Slanja. Hell yes. Now, that is a really nice beer. With Scotch ales are quite complex, so just sugar the beer around your palate and try and let your whole mouth adjust to this before you start dissecting the flavour too much. There's a lot going on in this one. Yeah, that's really nice actually. as I was saying a minute ago, a lot of American Scotch ales that you'll come across are a bit too sugary, they're a bit too fruity, and they kind of let the malt base fade a little bit. They're really too sweet on the caramel. With a Scotch ale, you want the caramel to be a little bit darker, you want some cereal in there, and you want it to be very, very toasty. That, as a Scotsman, that's the Scotch ales that we've grown up with in this country. And Bodebrown have done this one really quite well, actually. This is better than some of the Scottish Scotch ales that I've come across. Yeah, this is a very nice beer. I hope they take that as a compliment coming from a Scotsman. They've done this one very, very well, I have to say. So yeah, so in the middle of the palate with this one, you're getting that nice bready blanket just coming across the middle of your palate. It tastes really, really nice. You've got a very good balance between the sweetness there as well. The middle of your palate is just blanketed with a kind of bready base, if you like. You get this nice light, slightly cereally bready character that just blankets the middle of your tongue, and then these sweeter caramel flavours are coming in on top there. You've got some sweet sugars there, but then on top of it you've got the darker, quite roasted treacle and molasses there. It's quite toasted, like I said, but there's some woody and nutty flavours in there, and all of these flavours blend together really quite nicely. In fact, this is very well done, and as I said, potentially better than some of the Scottish Scotch ales that I've come across. But they've got the style and the mouthfeel spot on this one, in my opinion. You can get a little bit of the alcohol warmth as well. And at 8%, it is perhaps a little bit lighter than some of the Scotch ales that I've come across before, but it suits the beer nicely. You get a good bit of alcohol warmth out of this, and it suits the level of malt that they have in this. This is really good. If you get the chance to try this one, then you have to give it a go. The woody and nutty flavours, I think they actually grow a little bit as the beer progresses. The caramel, your mouth adjusts to the caramel a bit. Once you first take this beer in, it comes across as really quite toasted. That caramel, the roasted and quite sweet caramel, just dominates the palate. But as your mouth adjusts to it more, you get more of the bready base. That bready character just builds in the body, and then you start to get these interesting woody and nutty flavours that are infused in there too. The flavour of this one changes as the beer starts to warm up a little bit. It's very nicely done, this. Yeah, this is a very, very good beer. Thumbs high to Cervejaria Bodebrown for this one. This is a very, very good Scotch ale. So in the back corners of the palate, you have a nice, smooth, earthy, hoppy character there. As you move further forward, you do get a little bit of dryness from it in the back corners of the palate, and it smooths out even more as you come forward. And if you just go behind the front curve of that tongue there, that's where you're getting the nice, red, fruity esters out of this beer. Yeah, there's a nice candied fruit character to this one, but for me, the fruity esters are a little bit sharper than that. You've got figs, but you've got more raisins and plums in there. Those really quite sharp red fruity esters are coming out in this one. It's not tart at all. It's just very sweet, and that complements the bready character really quite well. This beer kind of makes a transition from being very caramelly and very toasty to being quite bready and quite fruity. There's everything that you want from a Scotch ale is in here. This one is beautifully done. I've said that a couple of times, but this really is a very, very good beer. So once again, thank you to Fabrizio and Tatiana for this one. It's been really cool to review this. In terms of the mouthfeel of this one, I'd say mid to full bodied, potentially pushing the full bodied character if you like. Carbonation is very smooth, you get just a little bit of a prickle from it, but they've done it perfectly. It's got a big, oily, almost syrupy mouthfeel to this one. In fact, probably more syrupy than oily, to be honest. There's a big malty sweetness to this one. As I said, it comes in very sweet at the start, and then it starts to smooth out as your palate adjusts to the beer. You get more of the bready and more of the woody and nutty flavours coming out of this one. There is an element of an almost cereally character to this, and that's exactly what you want from a Scotch ale. There is always an element of cereal flavour to there, and that's what a lot of the American brewers forget, in my opinion. But Bodebrown have put this in here, and it works very, very well. There's a good bit of toasted character at the start, like I said, and the hops are very smooth, but you've got a really nice and well done fruity juicy sweet character from this as well. The alcohol warmth is pretty good too. You get a nice kind of just very warm feeling down the chest from this one, and it suits the level of malt that they've put in this. So overall, this is a beautiful, beautiful Scotch ale. I can see why it's won all of these awards. I can see why it's rated at 92 on Rate Beer. It's superbly done, and on the basis of this, I would love to try some of the other Cervejaria Bodebrown beers. This one has been a really, real privilege to review for you. So I hope the guys at the brewery enjoy seeing a Scotsman review their Scotch ale. Been very, very cool to try this one. As I said, this is better than some of the Scottish Scotch ales that you'll come across, but they've incorporated all the things that some of the American brewers forget about the style, in my opinion. You've got the nice cereally character in there in the malt base, and that is the real thing that some of the American brewers miss. They try and make the beers a bit too sweet and too fruity, but they've taken the best of both worlds and incorporated them into one beer in this. So a huge thumbs up to Cervejaria Bodebrown on this beer. Superb stuff, guys. I've really enjoyed this. So thank you again for watching my beer reviews. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, please let me know in the comments section below your own thoughts on this beer if you do happen to have tried it before. Until the next one, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. A big thank you to Fabrizio and Tatiana once again for providing me with this beer. You will see another beer review coming up from Brazil. That's from Turpichinum, or however you pronounce it. You'll see me review one of their beers in a couple of weeks' time, so I hope you enjoy that too. But thank you again for watching my beer reviews. As I say, check out all the links in the description below, and I'll be back soon. Go and check out Cervejaria Bodebrown from Curitiba in Brazil. This is an awesome Scotch ale, and if you enjoy the style, you really will enjoy this beer. Slanger just now, and I'll catch you soon. Cheers.